Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. And I've got an exciting show for you guys. I went over the Apple chart yesterday. I was expecting a little bit more of a flesh out. Apple did have a little bit of a pierce of the 40 on the RSI, a relatively strong stock on the day. So I said you could play that if it did end up closing below the low of the day. But the problem is Trump announced some news with Apple, and now all of a sudden Apple is shooting up, heading above $200. It's crazy. The RSI didn't necessarily predict that, but it did show the relative strength in the stock. And so I did anticipate a bounce. On that particular one, it would have been more luck than skill as far as that goes, just because you never can tell like what the news is going to be. But that's kind of the part of the charts that people don't realize is when things get overextended to either the upside or the downside, usually what happens is some event, and that's what causes it to rise or fall based on what the chart is telling you. So it's pretty incredible that that happened. Again, Apple's up significantly, is bringing the rest of the markets up. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over the RSI recap here in a second. So the trade of the day yesterday was ANET at about $145.17. That was where I was looking at ANET for a particular trade, just because of this hidden trend line, hidden support and resistance levels. It never got up there. Let's go ahead and go into those charts so that way I can show you what I'm seeing and why or what happened with the ANET trade. Okay, so here we go. The ANET, this is what happened. So price action got up to $137. I was anticipating it going up another $8 to $145. And then you got this nice pullback. What ANET did the rest of the day, though, is just this sideways consolidation, creating a little bit higher highs and higher lows. That gave you an indication that this is a relatively strong stock. So we ended up trading this in the trading room, and I lost $130 or $123 or something like that. But what is interesting to me, there's a decent amount of price action in here, and then look at the relative strength action. It never got below the 30. So today could be an opportunity for us to get up to $145, and that would be still a great level to initiate a trade on ANET. So let's go ahead and go to the daily chart. Look at this RSI action. Look at this price action. It showed you, okay, so now you've got a really strong stock based on the fact that it closed above and it didn't create a higher high. This is actually starting to become negative RSI divergence. So what we have to watch for is, does this RSI today pierce this level right here, negating any type of negative RSI divergence? So that could happen depending on the rise in the stock today. Again, the stock was above 30 all day yesterday, and so I still anticipate a move higher today. So here was yesterday's action. So I expect a move higher today, about $145 before we can get a significant pull down. All right, here is a chart of Duolingo. All right, let me go ahead and remove these lines for you guys. Here is what's interesting to me. You had this gap fill on Duolingo at $334. But look at what happens with the relative strength index. You're getting decent action in the relative strength index, and you're getting a decent fall, 20% drop in the stock. Now, what happened was you've got this nice downsloping trend line. It almost looks like a parallel channel, but look at what happened to the relative strength index. The price action was creating lower lows, and the relative strength index creating higher lows. This is giving you a positive RSI divergence. Now, this is not something I would play because of the fact that you had earnings, but then look at what happened. Duolingo is now up, what is it, 20-something percent, 26%. But look what happened with the relative strength index. Into support, positive RSI divergence, and then bam, look at this move to the upside in Duolingo. So there's a lot of stocks, there are a lot of stocks that stay above the 70 and are really strong. Well, this is showing you that it's staying below the 30 and it's starting to be weak. except for when you get this positive RSI divergence. That means that some of the sellers are coming in and an expected bounce is to the upside. I ended up playing this as a short trade in the earnings trader yesterday. I made a couple bucks, $7 per share or something like that. But this thing is incredible. Do anticipate a move higher. If you guys are interested in going short, maybe 480 bucks. That wouldn't be too big of a move higher if you guys are interested in trading this for a day trade. Dutch Brothers. Dutch Brothers is another stock that gave you positive RSI divergence. You get this lower down slope. This lower down movement on the price action. And so what I like to do is I like to make sure that it's a 20 to 30% move to the downside and look at the relative strength index. As price action started going down, the relative strength index went down, pierced to 30. It continued lower, but look at what happened with the relative strength index. It created a higher low. And again, this is positive RSI divergence. I did not end up trading this. I try to stay away from earnings just because you can get burned one way or another. This could have negated the positive RSI divergence. But however, this gives you an idea like, okay, so we're into a ton of support in Dutch Brothers. Decent move down. It favors a bounce to the upside. Now look at what happened to Dutch Brothers from the closing price. Now it's up 20%. This doesn't happen often, but this is what to look for: positive RSI divergence, lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the relative strength index. It's just a thing of beauty. Again, this is what I was noticing on Apple. Apple is up to $219. I was anticipating just maybe one more move lower on Apple, maybe into this upsloping trend line, but then Apple decided it wanted to open up and go higher. Now it's up 7-8%. The nice thing about something like Apple is you get this good price action inside of a strong stock with the relative strength index continuing lower. That is actually a positive sign for a stock like Apple. And so as you can see, it's moving higher. For you guys who are interested in day trading, Gareth will probably go over this in the game plan. $223.98 is a great gap fill as it gets up there. So what we're looking for on the upside is you want the relative strength index, if you're a bull, to get back up above 70 and then basically chop sideways as the price of Apple just slowly grinds up, kind of like we've seen in other stocks like Microsoft and Nvidia. All right, so here's DoorDash. DoorDash, look at the lack of price action. So here's what I was noticing. You've got this beautiful upsloping trend line. You do have some negative RSI divergence, but what I notice here is you don't have nearly the same reaction in the price that you did in something like Duolingo or ANET. Duolingo or Dutch Brothers. So that tells you that, okay, yes, it does have some negative RSI divergence, but is it still a strong stock? And in this case, it really is a strong stock. So as long as that upsloping trend line stays intact, it actually favors a bounce. And so it's actually moving up today, trading at $275 on the back of earnings. So kind of give you an idea of what to look for. So now if we're going back to the DoorDash chart, what we want to do is we want to connect some lows. So for example, let's take this low right here, this low pivot through here, and look at this. So if DoorDash continues higher, you're going to look for a decent move in the price action. So for example, 18% move higher, going up into this upsloping trend line. Around 285 would be a great opportunity for you to short this thing into the open, maybe a pierce of 280, depending on how price action gets up there. What you want is to see continued relative strength index heading lower. And then eventually, if this upsloping trend line breaks, then you've got, and you have negative RSI divergence, that's a great opportunity to look for a down move. Ethereum is another strong altcoin, strong chart. Look at this price action. It dipped right to the 50 on a strong altcoin, and now it's heading higher. So what you're looking for is this upsloping trend line did end up breaking. But what's interesting to me is you got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, and now you're looking for a retrace as the scene of the crime to re-enter this thing, especially if we can create this negative RSI divergence. And the reason I would say this on Ethereum opposed to some of those other ones is because if you go back and measure, we had a good 10 to 15% drop from the current highs. And so if it pushes up again, but creates negative RSI divergence, that could be a great opportunity to enter a short. And I would say anything above $4,000 or $4,100, if you guys are bearish on Ethereum, then that would be a great opportunity to exit. To either exit the trade if you're long or take it for a short and look for a 10, 15, maybe even 20% bounce. Wait till it gets back to around the 50, and that would be a great opportunity or a great play for the Ethereum chart. All right, you guys, now comes to the trade of the day. All right, so here's the chart that I have, and this is Palantir. Palantir is a strong stock in the day. It's starting to push up. Now it's about 76 on the relative strength index. I've got this upsloping trend line that connects this pivot low, this pivot high at 124, another pivot high, 133. So your trade of the day is enter a short at $190.05. And the reason I like Palantir for a short is if we go to the intraday, let's go to the 1 minute. You had some good price action on the price. It doesn't look like it here. Let me go ahead and extend this out for you guys. Look at this. You have this good move up, pullback, big move up, decent pullback, came back in, never really pierced the 30. It got down to 29, but I still don't see that as a significant pierce such as this, right? It got down to 18. And then we just had this nice push higher, which means that there are still plenty of buyers that are in this. So it favors a move to the upside. However, eventually will fall. And this thing, once it gets up to 190, will fall 3 to 5%. And so that would be my downside target, 3 to 5% pullback off of the chart of Palantir. And again, that short level on Palantir for me is $90.05. I will go, if I'm in the live day trading room and it hits there within the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I will be taking this for a short. And if you guys are in there, you guys can take this with me as well. So that's what I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys like what you guys are seeing. I did have a comment saying that ANET had a good positive RSI divergence. I didn't actually see that in the chart. So if you guys do see something like that and you want to comment, make sure you create or include a picture so I can see what you guys are seeing and I can kind of walk you through what it is or why it isn't something. Again, please hit the like and the subscribe button, hit that bell, ring that bell so you can get notifications every morning that the market is open at 8:45. I will be here with you guys, and please stay tuned. Less than 2 minutes, Gareth Soloway is going to be live in the game plan. He's going to have a lot of information, a lot of earnings for you guys to check out, a lot of movement in the stock market. You don't want to miss that. And we'll see you guys next time in the charts. Take care.